appreciate that because it makes it look bad. It makes it look like a culture that is throwing away its culture. Like theater is culture. Cinema is a part of the art culture of society. And so a part of that is going to the theater to see the film as the filmmakers, plural, intended that film to be seen and heard.
Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me as always is
Big Josh.
as well as
the Professor. Hello everybody.
And Cam's out on assignment, but we are here for Streaming Wars, the finale. Dun, dun, dun. As everybody has seen, Netflix just is trying to, because it's not official yet, trying to gobble up WB, Warner Brothers, and all their said properties. As we've been talking about this in Streaming Wars over and over again, all the companies are consolidating. We've been saying this forever. You know, Disney gobbled up Fox and all their properties. Amazon got MGM and all that. So I think the most interesting thing about this is it's kind of coming to the conclusion that we thought it was going to. So it's not necessarily a surprise, but it's more like again, I think I was saying this before, was one of the things people forget is Netflix is a tech company. It is not an entertainment company. So they are looking at the IP and all these types of things like a tech company would. And what do? You gobble up the competition and you add them to your under the fold. So Netflix getting WB is actually pretty smart on their end from a Netflix start, because now they just now all that licensing fees they had to pay for all that shit before, now it's all
out
under
the window.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
well, I was just talking about to you guys. We were talking offline, and I was saying it's amazing because Supernatural, which is a WB production, and it's got 15 seasons, 100 and some blah 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 episodes. No, maybe 200. Close to 300 episodes.
Well over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because each season had like 24. Yeah, I'm tripping. It's like 300 episodes. Yeah. But anyway, it's leaving Netflix, and it's had that, how they put the announcement, oh, this will be leaving soon. And so I saw that, and then it dawned on me, I'm like, well, that's interesting, because now it's going to Peacock for a little while, but now once that license is up, it'll just be back on Netflix, and now they don't have to pay for the license. So this thing that's been on their streaming service for literally the last 10 to 15 years, without much interruption. I don't remember the last time Supernatural was not on Netflix as far as available to stream. So it's a little ironic and interesting that the moment they lose the license, they actually buy the IP outright.
Irony of ironies.
Yep, exactly. And I think the most interesting thing is now everyone's kind of like, okay, this is going to be a disaster. People are starting to come out. James Cameron said stuff about it. The SAG-AFTRA is already saying, yo, this is horrible. Directors Guild's like, yo, they got to stop this. And then our man Trump is like, whoa, what's going on over here? Oh, wait. Should I pay attention to this? Oh, maybe not. Well, tell me if I need to pay attention, and I'll pay attention. Because
it's a mess. It's a whole mess. And the interesting thing is that you kind of saw it going this way, that it was going to be an unconventional left field purchaser, because they stalled Paramount. And why wouldn't they? Paramount was just on the deck itself to be sold. So it seems counterintuitive to negotiate much with them, but I think the Netflix deal shows where Zaslav's mind was the whole time, which was he wanted to sell to one of those tech companies, to one of those major tech entities, Netflix being the one that is the least, that has the least amount of blowback in terms of the perception of what it is, because Netflix has been in the entertainment and media business for quite some time now. But the problem was always that they never had a strategy that made sense to cinema, or to really to anything that resembles traditional audience behavior, right? So like their thing is they release, even now, they don't have a regular routine way of releasing their shows. The Witcher, you release all at once, and now Stranger Things, you're going to release it in 3 drip drabs. They have there is no kind of
no method, no rhyme or
unifying
reason.
method or rhyme or reason. And I think because they are a tech company at the heart of it, they thrive on that, because it's kind of like, we have all this money we can spend, we can take the risk, we can allow our creators that we're paying to live out their dreams, no matter how ridiculously dumb they end up being. Looking at you, Russo brothers. And also the one we will not name, but so now there's a whole new crop, and there's a whole new way that they might have to do business, because if you think about it, as much as they want to say, oh, we'll release a film and then it'll be on streaming the month later. Okay, you might be able to do that with some titles, but you're not going to tell me that you're going to spend all this money on a DC film and you're going to let it run for 3 months, and you've just spent all that money, and the only thing you care about is that people keep their subscriptions. And those prices are going way up now. Yeah. And you can forget about sharing because now they've already cracked down on that. You can't use someone's Netflix account if you are not on the same IP address when you use it. So, and Disney is the same way. So they figured out how to box out all of that, and that was sort of their negotiation with the advertising companies, because now you got Netflix's the tiers. Oh, you got to pay this much up just to have your program free of ads.
And also too, you have to remember the with Netflix buying out all the sports stuff. And so, they're doing live streaming, live sports events now. Not to mention they got their wrestling.
WWE. Dude, that was a big deal in and of itself. Yeah.
WWE, boxing. I think they tried to get into NFL recently. I don't remember what the outcome was. I think they took part in, but didn't succeed in getting part of the NBA pie that was being divvied up.
I don't think
they've been very, very, very active.
But also, I think with acquiring if they do get the whole AWB and HBO has other sports licensing as well. So that kind of comes within that, right? So on HBO, you can watch basketball, you can watch. They got racing, they got baseball, they got hockey. So they might even get back to
NFL, the Hard Knocks docuseries. Like that's a big deal. Every year they've been producing those Hard Knocks since they did the one with what was it? What's the coach of the Jets? What the guy that used to hate Bill Belichick wanted to beat Rex something? Was it Rex Ingram? Rex Ryan, yes. Yeah, Rex Ryan. Yeah, I just remember that was always his deal. But anyway, not to I'm just saying that they've been doing it that long. So it is an established brand, and it's clearly one that's very successful because they haven't stopped.
And it's interesting that they're again just taking the Warner Brothers piece, which honestly it's probably the best of that group in terms of potential for
the largest of the most profitable of those brands that
they're acquiring the DC universe, Harry Potter, all the classic movies, and as well as the HBO, as well as the HBO streaming platform, and the entire film and television studio operations. So
and the games, they got WB games,
and the games, right? Yes,
which again, that's
that part.
Yeah, and they've released their most recent titles. They've been doing stuff. It wasn't that successful. The what was it? The Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Oh yeah,
it ended up being panned and flopped. But
it was a great trailer, but the game itself wound up being garbage, from what I read.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the whole concept of it was just too bad that people couldn't wrap their head around that idea. And I think, and even in the gameplay, it was kind of similar. Like, we can't wrap our head around murdering the Justice League using the hands of the Suicide Squad.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't feel right.
I played it and it was clunky, and it's sad because like it was a AAA game. A shit ton of money was put into it. Tons of people got work to to make it. It just did not work out. And I think that's the other part too, where people are because Netflix is notorious for stiffing people on the production side and either undercutting for pay. Just like they just don't have. And I think a lot of it is because sometimes the budgets are so bloated that they start to figure out how they can start to cut things. Again, remember, like we just talked about, Supernatural had 24 episodes for a season, right? And then now you have that Netflix is at 8 now? And now those writers' rooms are shrinking now too. So like the fear for Writers Guild and Directors Guild, and just even on the industry side, a lot of my friends are just like, every time I hear people work for Netflix proper production, they never have anything really good to say about it. I think that's the thing too. So now if one of the big houses to make films and TV shows is Netflix, a lot of those practices starts to trickle in as well. So I think there's going to be some very interesting aspects of it.
What was interesting?
Josh, how do you think?
Sorry. No. Go ahead. Ask your question.
I was going to say, what do you think? How do you think this is going to impact James Gunn in that whole situation?
That's a good question. I really don't know. And I don't think they know either. If they're smart, they'll leave him alone and let him do his thing, because he's already proven that he can get eyeballs on the screen, both streaming and in a theater. He's kind of a known quantity at this point, and he's the closest thing to no fail that a franchise director could ever, and by extension, a studio could ask for. He's kind of got it. He knows what he's doing, and he's a hit maker. So you don't throw that away. If they're smart, they'll leave him alone and let him continue to do his thing. They might, tweak a couple things here and there. And in all likelihood, I mean, they claim that the WB franchises that are like just broad spectrum, the WB franchises on a whole that are theater based, they won't mess with those. Like, they're, as much as they've been on record saying that they won't, that they're very anti, that, movie theaters are dead, and we're very anti releasing things in the theater unless it's a K-pop Demon Hunters that has a nuclear explosion in streaming, and they're like, oh, well, we can make more money if we throw this out there for a month on in theaters. And they did make a crap ton of money in theaters as well, relatively speaking, for the short run that it had, and sort of reverse engineering the whole release, the whole idea of a release. But I think they're going to leave James Gunn alone. If they're smart, they'll leave James Gunn alone. I think if they keep him doing what he's doing, they're going to make a crap ton of money. Are people going to rush to streaming just because James Gunn did something when it could be in a theater? I mean, people are already sort of trending away from going to the theater. So there's that. But also, people will go if they know that if it's a known quantity and it's something that has the potential to be good, they'll still go, as Superman showed. So it could go either way, and it would be successful in either direction. But if they're smart, they'll just leave it as is and let him do his thing for theaters.
I think they'll leave him alone, but I think there's a chance that they will do something stupid in addition to leaving him alone, which is they will try to allow Snyder to do some of his films again. And there's no reason why they might not, because again, if James Gunn's DCEU is DCEU is a separate thing. He's already acknowledged that. It's already been well established that the DCEU kind of exists in its own continuity as a part of the multiverse. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is an attempt to do something like that. That's why I said I see them leaving him alone, because there's absolutely no reason to change course with what they're doing right now. But I can also see the high potential of something very stupid happening, like them trying to do another movie where they cast Cavill as Superman. They may even try to do that Black Adam versus Superman thing. But I see that being a potential. Will it ultimately happen in that way? I hope not. But I wouldn't put it past them, because now they have all the power, and there's no really reason for them not to milk all of the properties for, whatever they can get. And then, because I was going to mention about the WB games is that while it did have the slug of the Suicide Squad game, they also had Hogwarts Legacy, which was a huge big hit. So there's
really fun game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of success that it just makes sense that now that they have it, they have this huge assortment of properties and brands and things. I had a student ask me, how's that not a monopoly? And I was like, well, in the past, it probably would have been. However, you still have others in the game. You have Amazon. Yeah. That's essentially, it's their competitors. And you have Disney. And lo and behold, what is the trend? That Disney is one of the last of the Moeshas, as Keenan as Keenan as Steve Harvey trying to read the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire card. Yep. If you know, you know. But anyway, Disney is the last of that old school that is not a tech company first. That has all these properties and brands, because Apple is a tech company. So
there's a difference between monopoly versus antitrust. So that's a distinction that people aren't making. And I think, and it still has to, as a result of the announcement, this triggers a whole series of events from a regulatory standpoint. So it still has to pass muster. The kicker is
a lot of red tape now. A lot of
tons and tons. This is like another year in before any of this gets settled.
Maybe longer, because there's likely going to be some lawsuits. Like there's going to be some major pushback, and like you said, with the antitrust thing coming into play, I'm sure lots of lawyers are getting called up to take a look at.
Yeah, because
absolutely. Ellison has already announced that he's gonna fight it, because he feels like there was that the deal wasn't done in good faith. Which
That's
is
the Paramount guy, right?
Yeah, Paramount. Yeah, exactly. Which is wildly interesting to me, because and as a quick aside. What was most interesting to me, and if I was a betting man, I would have put money on either one of these other outcomes. The Saudis, the Saudi Public Investment Fund, was backing both Comcast and Paramount. Yep. So they ran the illest squeeze play in all of business, in my opinion, and still wound up losing out, which is bananas to me. Bananas. Exactly. that neither Comcast. If you asked me between the three, which one would have pulled it off, I would have said Paramount, because Paramount has a more deep investment with the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Comcast might have, but it doesn't serve the interest nearly as much, because Comcast is, if I'm not mistaken, is Peacock and an arm of NBC Universal still.
Yeah.
So I didn't really see the Comcast thing playing out. I would have sworn I would have put money down if I had it. I would have put money down to say that Paramount probably would have pulled it off, considering the size and with the direction that Zaslav was taking in terms of farming off everything to whoever would pay for licensing. It stood out to me that was the trend. He was trying to go for making Warner Brothers liquid and getting cash. The fastest way to get cash, in my mind, is to let the Saudis have it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was my thought process, because they were willing to pay a massive premium just to get in the game, because the Saudi Public Investment Fund, they're trying to get into media and they're doing stuff, but they're not there right now. This would have made them an instant player, which is what they're shooting for, and they're still going to be. It's just a matter of how.
That's going to take a lot of maneuvering on their part. This is a geopolitical thing. This is nothing. This has nothing to do with who had what you just said in terms of the money. Because I never thought the Saudis were going to win that bid. I never once thought that they. I never once thought it. I wish I knew you were thinking about betting, because I would have took that bet. But I didn't see Netflix coming. But there were two names that I said were likely not going to win that bid, and that was the Saudis and Paramount. And I knew they wouldn't.
Yeah, that's interesting. They weren't.
With the Saudis, just the geopolitical situation, that's too big of a leap in foothold into the American media institution for that particular group of people. Like, there are powers that are not going to allow that to happen that easily. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's more about, do I know this for sure? No, it's a feeling, and
but it's a logical. It's not a leap at all.
It's from knowing our country that we are. it's from knowing our beautiful America and how in the business of media and how these things tend to work. Now, if it had been that if it were a different group that was negotiating, I probably would not have been as confident. But having been in the trenches with that company, I kind of understood how, the things that Zaslav does in public doesn't necessarily indicate how he's going as far as the negotiation goes. He's always kind of thrown in wrenches when you think, where he's going to go this way, and then he ends up going another way entirely. And so that was why I wasn't so sold on. Did I know for sure they would not get it? No, but I would have been confident. I was confident enough to where, again, if I knew you were betting, I would have took that bet.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Because I felt like he was going to go for everything that he's done thus far has been towards a certain methodology in making Warner Brothers solvent, and that's cash.
But you're forgetting that they had a year this last year of huge success on its own as a brand. Yeah. So he was doing that before, when they were losing money, because they were not making any gains based right out the gate after the first deal went through. And so that's when he started to liquidate and sell off a lot of the assets and license things and shorten the licenses up. So one thing would be on a platform for like 3 months, and then boom, it's gone to something else. But when they had Sinners and Superman and F1 and like just this year of nonstop revenue gains, that allowed them that gave them an upper hand in negotiation. So they didn't have to fall into that, who's got the most money, who's gonna pay up, pay the biggest price. Because again, they just sold the Warner Brothers section. There's still the whole Discovery Global at brands as well.
And I think, we could talk about this forever, so I'll narrow it down a little bit. I think the most interesting part of this whole deal, besides the money aspect of it, is, again, how it's going to affect the going down to the common, like the regular worker, right? Because now this is going to greatly affect all of the, all the folks on set. And we're talking the actual workers. We're not talking about the actors,
rank and file,
directors. Yeah, we're talking about the rank and file, and so how that's because they've already
talking about the people that actually put the films and TV shows together, not the faces in front of the camera.
The people that do the actual work to make these
that actually work. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the part that's going to be the most interesting because, again, with Netflix and how much money they put into a lot of different stuff, again. You have people were talking about it before, if you're on a TV show, you're on a TV show for 24 episodes. that went down to 12. Now it's gone down to 8. And just like you said, D said earlier with how the Netflix releases stuff, you're working on a show for 2 years and then all the episodes drop in one day. And then everybody forgets about it tomorrow. So it's all these different factors where this deal is going to, it's already, Netflix and streaming has already upended the industry anyways, but now this is going to be even more. So I'm really, really curious how this is all going to shake out, because it's going to be, like you said, the fear from the Directors Guild and the Writers Guild is talk about the loss of jobs. And then the fear for a lot of the union guys is kind of the same thing, where it's like, okay, well, now are these productions going to go back into, production still hasn't gone back to normal from post COVID. And so now we have another monkey in the wrench just happening too. So I'm really curious to see,
on top of the third monkey in the wrench, which is AI. Still, AI will still play a major role in all of this. All of this restructuring at the end of the day will have AI involved in all of it, because that's a part of that fear amongst all those groups you named in terms of jobs. And now that you have a tech company first that is tech minded, how long will it be before they go, oh, we can just let the AI create a script, because it is no different than the scripts we already do. And so we can have them create it and assign a director, assign a story editor who will simply go through and make it make sense. And we can pay less and we can get it done. And so I think that's a big worry.
You wound me, but you're not wrong.
And so I want to introduce an additional monkey wrench, and that is all the spinoffs that have happened in the last 6 months between between NBC Universal spinning off USA, Sci-Fi Channel, MSNBC, which is now MS Now, and spinning those off into its own company.
They're all doing it. They're all doing
Warner Brothers has spun off CNN.
Yeah.
So, it is, I'm very curious, like Cam was saying, and you as well, D, I'm curious to see how this all shakes out in terms of the rank and file, because all the deck chairs are being rearranged between the spinoffs, between AI, between the potential sale of Warner Brothers from the film and TV side and the game side. I'm really curious. Okay, once the dust has settled and the deck chairs have been fully rearranged to stack one analogy on top of another, I'm really curious. Okay, so now that that's all said and done, the regulatory piece has played out. How does this impact, like Cam was saying, the rank and file? How does, production is at an all-time low. Employment in media is at an all-time low. How does this then affect and impact the potential to generate now A, more jobs, and B, more shows, and as a result, and more films, and as a result, more jobs for the rank and file person who in some cases hasn't worked in 2-3 years.
Yeah. That's D. I'm gonna give you the last words, but I'm more depressed now, guys.
Well, I think I think there's reason to. Obviously, we all know we're working, so have at some capacity been a part of that rank and file and working professionally in media for some time now, so we know for sure. But I think where it's going to go is we can't know. The biggest thing that we have to go on is the stuff that we're worried about, because then it's hard to see what the potential could be for all of this. All of the things that are lined up are things that we don't particularly, at least our generation, doesn't want to come to pass. Even the changing of how we view television and TV shows and see movies, that stuff is changing. Nobody wants to see the theater die. I don't want to see the theater go away. And I was reading comments and people were saying, of course people are stupid, but for the most part, a lot of people were kind of going, yay or nay. But the kind of the sillier thing was when people said, "Oh, they were naming all of these obsolete pieces of tech like dial-up and stuff like that, and group theater in there with them." And so I'm like, it just shows the level of stupidity that's working with these tech that's trying to speak for the tech companies. And I don't think that they probably would appreciate that, because it makes it look bad. It makes it look like a culture that is throwing away its culture. Like, theater is culture. Cinema is a part of the art culture of society. And so a part of that is going to the theater to see the film as the filmmakers, plural, intended that film to be seen and heard. You can't do all of that by sitting at home and streaming it. First of all, as we know, well, more than the average person, you lose a lot of the media in general by watching it through streaming. You're not going to get the same Oppenheimer on Netflix that you would if you go to the theaters or if you have the physical copy of the film. But the climate today is switching it so that is the idea of doing that, of going to the theater, of using physical media. It's a huge encumbrance, a huge inconvenience, and it's something that needs to be done away with. But we've been down this road before with radio, and radio has survived. We've been down this road before with network television when cable came about, and both survived. And the same is true when the streaming services came about. Folks thought that the advertisement industry would definitely start to go belly up. But guess what? It adapted, it survived, and it's here. What am I saying? If I'm saying anything, maybe we'll adapt and it'll be something better if Netflix does take over, if that deal goes through. And there's no reason to think it won't, except that it's going to be a struggle to get there.
Yeah, definitely, man. And we'll leave it there because, again, that was a little optimistic, a little bit.
As optimistic as you're going to get from me. What more do you want?
All right, I'm gonna stop it there before he gets back to being pessimistic again. But once again, thanks for rocking with us. It's gonna be. We live in interesting times, people, in all aspects. Indeed. Now this is just got even more interesting. So we'll definitely be around. We'll look for us on Facebooks and the YouTubes and Instagrams. On YouTube specifically, we've been dropping a lot more video content, which is really great. So definitely check it out. Like, subscribe, follow, tell a homie. And we got a couple things coming up for 2026, and we're brainstorming and we want to do a little bit more. So we got some things cooking. I'm really happy with what we're doing, but we just wanted to thank everybody for listening to us, watching us, sharing us with your friends, arguing with us. Whatever it is, we appreciate all of that, and it definitely helps us get better. So just wanted to give that little thanks for everybody. And man, this is Blerdlines. We out.
Like, subscribe, follow, or we come and kill you.